Yeah.
Good afternoon to all participants. On behalf of Sitara, I welcome you to day 30 of the Appendix 3 session. Today, the topic assigned is financial appraisal railway projects under DCF technique. To take you through the topic, we are privileged to have Sri K. Damodar Prasad Garu, faculty IRIFEM. Good afternoon, sir, and welcome to the session. Now, over to the topic.
Thank you. Thank you, Manigaru. Dear participants, good afternoon to all of you. This is one of the important topics from our learning point of view, and not only learning point of view, but from the point of view of Appendix 3A examination. Normally, the question will be like this. Please discuss about what is financial justification, what are the points to be seen in a proposal for a line capacity work. वैसा क्वेश्चंस हमारा अपेंडिक्स 3A में पूछा जाएगा. So we should be ready to write such important topics, because this will be dealt at very few places in finance section. So therefore, if we knew certain important points, we will be in a position to attempt this particular question. I request the participants to please go through, after my session, please go through Finance Code Chapter 2. थोड़ा पहले पढ़ने में थोड़ा प्रॉब्लम हो जाएगी, but later on, after my session, if you read, you will try to gain confidence and attempt this particular question. So straight away, I'll be going to the topic financial appraisal of the railway projects under DCF technique. Actually, हमारे को पता है कि ये DCF project financial appraisal क्यों होना चाहिए? Why should we have the project appraisal? And what are the ingredients that we will be having? What is the importance of this DCF technique, which normally adopted in railways? Why at all a financial appraisal is required? And one more point which in examinations normally what it is asked is, what is financial justification, and what are the areas where financial justification is not required? That also sometimes they will ask. And third point will be ABC. Yes, third point will be what are the points you will be looking when a proposal received for a line capacity work. So this is how my entire topic is developed on this particular aspect. So please listen carefully, and at the end of this session, जो भी doubts है हमें clear करेगा. A financial justification, whenever a particular project investment decisions हमें लेते हैं to get those projects or proposals included in the pink book, those items, they are to be financially justified. So capital investment माने तो it is not the capital, it is the capital nature of investment जो भी है, वो decisions, वो proposals जो भी हमारे को finance concurrence के वास्ते आते हैं, those items we have to scrutinize very carefully, because any capital investment, if it is yielding good result, it is fine. If it is not yielding, it will be a sunk cost. वो तो डूबा हो जाएगा, पूरा मनी it will go waste. So as a finance officer, in any proposal which is requiring capital investment माने तो capital DRF, DF जो भी है investment, that should be financially justified. For this there are certain exceptions. I will let you know now itself. Okay, so that is most important. So financially अगर जो भी project viable justified नहीं है, and we will say that it is not financially viable. From our verbatim comments हमें लिखते हैं financially not viable. So when it is done, again the board will think of it and whether to include or not include. वो बहुत सारे evaluations techniques है, वो भी हम बताएंगे. So इतना जानकारी कीजिएगा, जो भी कैपिटल इन्वेस्टमेंट का प्रपोजल आएगा वो फाइनेंशियली जस्टिफाइड होना चाहिए. ये फाइनेंशियली जस्टिफाइड माने तो क्या होता है माने तो अर्निंग्स, जो भी प्रपोजल से अर्निंग्स आते हैं, जो भी एक्सपेंसेस होते हैं, ये अर्निंग्स ज्यादा हुआ तो हम कहलाता है दैट इज कॉल्ड नेट फाइनेंशियल गेन. एक प्रोजेक्ट कंस्ट्रक्ट करने में तो एक्सपेंडिचर तो लग जाएगा, तो दैट एक्सपेंडिचर एंड फ्रॉम दैट प्रोजेक्ट इफ यू गेट सम अर्निंग्स माने अर्निंग्स, इंक्रीज इन अर्निंग्स भी हो सकता है और रिडक्शन इन एक्सपेंडिचर वो भी हो सकता है, और बोथ उसमें लगा होगा. तो either that financial net gain, whatever we are expecting, that is financially justified. माने तो net financial gain होना चाहिए. हमें जितना खर्च करें वो खर्च करने के बाद उसके ऊपर हमारे को अर्निंग्स आते हैं, तो we call it as net financial gain. अगर हमें खर्च ज्यादा किया और अर्निंग्स वो प्रोजेक्ट से बहुत कम आ रहा है, so then we can say it is not financially justified. So this is how we have to know these terminology. That is what is meant by financial justification. Financial justification, there should be net financial gain. That means earnings minus working expenses should be in the form of either increase in the earnings or reduction in the expenditure or both. वैसा है तो then it is, we can say that there is a net financial gain. Actually हमारे को बहुत सारे क्वेश्चंस हमारा मन में आ जाएगा कि सर कैपिटल इन्वेस्टमेंट माने तो खाली कैपिटल का प्रपोजल्स फाइनेंस जस्टिफाई करना और कहीं दूसरा प्रपोजल्स भी फाइनेंशियली जस्टिफाई होना चाहिए. So for that there is an answer in our finance code itself, that it says that except when renewal or replacement is inevitable, the expenditure chargeable to the DRF should be financially justified in the same way as any other expenditure of capital nature. Capital nature माने पूरे का पूरा कैसा DCF technique or whatever finance justification is required to be given to accounts department. Similar way DRF, जो भी project DRF को charge होते हैं, those proposals are also should be financially justified. But उसको ये DRF के वास्ते थोड़ा exception है. वो क्या है? When renewal and replacement are inevitable. अगर inevitable ये करना ही पड़ता है, then in that case we need not seek financial justification in case of DRF. Otherwise, it should even any project, if it is chargeable to DRF, it should be financially justified. Inevitable माने तो क्या होता है? थोड़ा life हो जाएगा, then it should be changed. Then in such cases, we need not ask for financial justification. Otherwise, even on DRF also, any project, if it is to be charged to DRF, then it should be financially justified, just like any other proposal which is like in the nature of capital. Then one more point is interest and depreciation. These are considered in the orthodox methods. ये orthodox method क्या होता है मैं बोलूँगा, but not in the discounted cash flow methods of financial evaluation of the project. Now, interest and depreciation, these are considered in the orthodox methods, but these are not to be considered. Even when I say depreciation, even inflation also we should not consider in discounted cash flow method if we want to evaluate a project, financial evaluation, if we are doing for a particular project, then these two elements we will not consider. In discounted cash flow, ये शब्द को ऊपर थोड़ा जानकारी हमें लेना है. Cash flow means cash is coming, or cash flow means cash outgoing. Cash inflow आ रहे हैं, then we call it as a income or earning. Cash outflow, cash जा रहे हैं, that means a expenditure होते हैं. ये DCF टेक्निक में, ये कैश फ्लो टेक्निक में very important is that it will be called as cash flow only. We will not call them as earnings or expenditure. Expenditure and earnings ये शब्द हमें नहीं इस्तेमाल करते हैं. We will not use them in whenever I am talking about discounted cash flow technique in the financial evaluation of a project. क्योंकि this cash flow, cash inflow माने cash is coming in, it is a earning, as I said, and cash outflow. And when I want to say both, I will use the term cash flow. Cash flow माने you can understand that I am talking about both earnings and expenditure. ये थोड़ा जानकारी आप होना चाहिए. And one more point is cash flow. When I am using the word cash flow, that is why this depreciation and interest, which are in the nature of adjustment, normally you should not be considered. So the rationale behind why depreciation is not considered in the DCF cash flow technique means it is an adjustment. हमारा बुक कीपिंग में भी हम पढ़ा होगा. So adjustment entry है, तो इसीलिए वहाँ पर cash flow नहीं रहता. That is, either inflow will not be there or outflow will not be there. So that is why they are not to be considered. So discounted cash flow method in the financial projects में interest and depreciation will not be considered. अच्छा, और एक 5 मार्क का क्वेश्चन भी दे सकता है. Now what are the areas where no financial justification is required? ये तो exception है. ये exception अब यहाँ पर DRF में मैं दिया, तो when except on renewal and replacements are inevitable, for DRF also financial justification is required. That is one. And one more exception is here. No financial justification generally will not be asked on these items. What are they? Number one, statutory obligation. जो भी by statute हमें करना है वो हम कर रहे हैं. Then in that case, no financial justification will be asked. Then पूरे बाकी के बाकी आइटम्स आप देख लीजिएगा. वो बाकी का 3 आइटम्स, सेफ्टी वर्क्स, पैसेंजर एमिनिटी वर्क्स एंड लेबर वेलफेयर वर्क्स, ये तीनों कहाँ से आते हैं? DF से आते हैं. So DF works we will not ask for financial justification. इतना जानकारी ये मन में रख दीजिएगा. What is financial justification, and under this way no financial justification will be insisted in railway. ये थोड़ा जानकारी अभी हो चुके हैं. Now I will go to further. Financial justification is very important and must. कहाँ ये very important है. तो I said exceptions I have given and I am elaborating. हमारे को जो पहचान है वो पहचान के बोल में मैं आपको थोड़ा और अधिक जानकारी मैं दे रहा हूँ. मस्ट कहाँ पर है? न्यू लाइन्स, लाइन कैपेसिटी वर्क्स. लाइन कैपेसिटी वर्क्स माने गेज कन्वर्शन, डबलिंग, लूप बढ़ाना, लूप एडिशनल प्रोवाइड करना, वैसा बहुत सारे चीज हैं. वो पूरा लाइन कैपेसिटी वर्क्स. लाइन कैपेसिटी वर्क्स माने वो लाइन का कैपेसिटी बढ़ाना. वैसा जो भी काम करते हैं और एक क्रॉसिंग स्टेशन बनाना, वैसा वो those are to be financially justified. And add remodeling, that and terminal facilities वो भी करना है तो फाइनेंशियल जस्टिफिकेशन जरूरी है. वर्कशॉप्स, एमएनपी आइटम्स, आरएसपी आइटम्स, ये पूरे का पूरा फाइनेंशियल जस्टिफिकेशन इज रिक्वायर्ड. इससे पहले मैं बोलता था आपको ये प्रोजेक्ट्स इवैल्यूएशन करने में बहुत सारे क्राइटेरिया होते हैं, मगर हमारा रेलवे में खाली दो तरीके का, because of our nature of our department, which is said to be a departmental enterprise. तो इसीलिए हमें अकाउंटिंग के बारे में वैसा दो तरीके हमें अकाउंट्स, कमर्शियल अकाउंट्स एंड गवर्नमेंट अकाउंट्स हमें कैसा बनाते हैं, वैसे ही इवन प्रोजेक्ट इवैल्यूएशन में भी थोड़ा परिवर्तन है हमारा रेलवे प्रोजेक्ट्स का फाइनेंशियल इवैल्यूएशन में. वो क्या है बोले तो इंटेंजिबल बेनिफिट्स सच एज सोशल बेनिफिट्स, एनवायरमेंटल बेनिफिट्स है, इकोनॉमिकल बेनिफिट्स है. These are the essential criteria for social projects like infrastructure project for upliftment of weaker sections. ये weaker sections के बारे में गवर्नमेंट जो भी इनिशिएटिव्स लेते हैं, social benefit, environmental benefit, economical benefit. So social benefit माने तो जो भी backward areas are there. So suppose we want to put a line, then we will not see financial justification. There's something else we will see. I will tell you later on. Similarly, environmental benefits. कोल का प्रॉब्लम होते हैं, नहीं तो डीजल का प्रॉब्लम होता है एनवायरनमेंट को. अगर इलेक्ट्रिफिकेशन से एनवायरनमेंटल को बेनिफिट्स बहुत ज्यादा हैं, then even though such projects, if they are not financially justified, then और दूसरा तरीके में हमें देखना चाहिए. Evaluation of projects should be done at separate level. So these are the intangible benefits और economical benefits. अब हमारा फाइनेंशियली बेनिफिट नहीं है, मगर गवर्नमेंट का जीडीपी बढ़ाने के वास्ते ये जरूरी है. Then in that case, then for that also normally these are the areas which we will be considering for the infrastructure projects for the upliftment of weaker sections. In case of major projects, हमारा रेलवे के बारे में सोचे तो then new line constructions, change of traction, just like I said, steam to diesel to electrification. So such benefits are realized by economy as a whole, assessed by, there is separate evaluation my bolena criteria hai, that is it will be done on economic evaluation. That there is one wing is there, economic advisor to railway board, so that wing will take care of that. So that is why sometimes in social service obligations आपने देखा होगा माइनस रिटर्न भी होते हैं, मगर वो पिंक बुक में आ जाता है. You will be surprised why that is coming. So now you will not surprised because it is a social benefit project. So when social benefit project is there, then we will not go into that because that will be justified on economic basis. So economic evaluation ke basis it will be included in the pink book. So this much जानकारी आपको फर्दर टॉपिक लेने के टाइम पे ये इतना जानकारी आपको होना चाहिए. अगर और दूसरा तरीका इवैल्यूएशन, सपोज एज ए सेड, सो डिपार्टमेंट एज ए गवर्नमेंट डिपार्टमेंट इकोनॉमिक एडवाइजर देखना, अगर गवर्नमेंट इच्छा करे तो वीकर बैकवर्ड एरियाज रीजियंस should be uplifted, then in that case economic advisor evaluate, and if it is economically beneficial, that will be included in the pink book, even though, again I am repeating, even though it is not financially justified or financially not viable. So that you leave it. नाउ दूसरा तरीके का इवैल्यूएशन क्या होते हैं फॉर ए कमर्शियल, बिकॉज हमारे डिपार्टमेंटल एंटरप्राइज, ये कमर्शियल एंटरप्राइज में क्या होते हैं, हम हमारे को कभी भी किसी कमर्शियल डिपार्टमेंट लीजिएगा, वहां पर प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी इज द मोस्ट क्राइटेरिया। अगर जो भी प्रोजेक्ट प्रॉफिटेबल नहीं आई उसके ऊपर ध्यान भी नहीं रखते, उसके ऊपर हाथ भी नहीं रखते कमर्शियल डिपार्टमेंट वाले। तो फॉर एनी कमर्शियल प्रोजेक्ट it should be most important is profitable, कितना प्रॉफिट दे रहा है। So as a commercial undertaking, now for the railway it is incumbent to ensure that proper financial return is earned on every investment. So it is वो जिम्मेदारी, that is for upliftment of weaker sections जो भी कर रहे हैं वो इकोनॉमिक इवैल्यूएशन के रूप में जस्टिफाई हो जाएगा, even though financial not well. But as a commercial department, we have to ensure that each and every capital investment is financially justified. That evaluation, it has to be done, and whenever you send a proposal to railway board, without financial evaluation, it will not be checked, even though it is a social benefit project. It should be first checked financially viable or not. So this is very important. So please keep that in mind. Now project evaluation criteria मैंने बताया। अभी project evaluation करने में टेक्निक्स क्या होते हैं, क्योंकि हमारे पास जो भी कैपिटल है वो बहुत कम होते हैं, हमारे पास पैसे जो बहुत कम अमाउंट रहते हैं, क्योंकि बजट सपोर्ट कमी हो जा रहे हैं और इंटरनल रिसोर्सेस कमी हो रहे हैं, and mostly we are now largely depending on extra budgetary resources. So then when amount is getting reduced, there will be so many projects competing for finding a place in the pink book. So ये pink book में compete करने के टाइम पे किस प्रोजेक्ट को चूज करना, किस प्रोजेक्ट को सेलेक्ट करना, that will be very important aspect. So that competing so many projects and the criteria how we will be taking up a particular project, selecting from so many hundreds of projects will be there. So out of them एक प्रोजेक्ट चुनना है, नहीं तो 10 प्रोजेक्ट्स चुनना है, जितना पैसे है उतने प्रोजेक्ट्स चुनना है. So it will be very difficult. Then what should be the criteria? What should be the technique which we have to adopt? That is done by using proper project evaluation techniques. और एक फंडामेंटल फीचर ये है कि एनी प्रोजेक्ट हमें ले रहे हैं तो इट इज नाउ you should understand that we are committing that so much money we want to put in that project. वो बैग में इतना पैसे हमें डालना चाहते हैं. Not only that, that is okay. When you want to put money, that is different issue. But at the same time, because our railway is a departmental enterprise, financial return also we will be seeing. अगर financial evaluation नहीं है, social welfare scheme पे है, तो वो अलग तरीके से इकोनॉमिक इवैल्यूएशन तरीके से हमें चुन के हमारा प्रोजेक्ट पिंक बुक में आ जाएगा. मगर you should understand that the fundamental feature of a project is that number one, we are committing now to put so much money. 10,000 crore का मनी लगाना चाहते हैं, yes, but at the same time we are going to get the benefits in future. अभी कमिट हो रहा है हमें पैसे खर्च करने के वास्ते. क्यों? Why we are committing? To get inflow, that is to get benefits from the project in future. अगर फ्यूचर का very bleak है, वो डार्क है, then we will not commit any funds on the particular project. So this is the fundamental feature of a project. अगर कहीं न पूछे क्या प्रोजेक्ट माने तो क्या है, प्रोजेक्ट माने तो it is committing current outflow. Outflow माने मैं बोल दिया expenditure, current outflow. अभी पैसा खर्च करने के वास्ते हमें committed है. But at the same time, it should yield a flow of benefit in future. वो चालू होने के बाद पैसे होना चाहिए, पैसे आना चाहिए. Inflow should be there. Otherwise, we cannot call it as a project. It is only expenditure, incurring expenditure. That's all. And this capital, as we knew that it is a scarce and investment, अगर पैसा खर्च कर रहा है वो तो irreversible हो जाएगा, वो पैसे निकालना बहुत मुश्किल हो जाएगा. बाद में पता चला that it is going to be a disaster, but we cannot take our money. So, and there will be so many projects competing for gen acceptance. Therefore, financial project appraisal is required. Financial justification is required. So, the methods of project financial appraisal, project appraisal consists of, already I told you that one is financial analysis, another is economic evaluation. A financial evaluation or financial analysis to know whether it is financially justified or not. Economic evaluation, which is done by economic advisor in Bangalore board, it is to see that economically whether it is beneficial to the country or not. So that they will be scrutinizing. But as I said, any project, you should have a financial analysis first, then only economic evaluation. Without financial evaluation, economic evaluation will not be done. ये project evaluation का techniques मैंने बताया, बहुत सारे models होते हैं. ये पूरे models, ये mathematical models. Mathematical माने तो I will not, when I apply this method, I will see mathematical calculations only, and whether it is very important for the railway or very important for the nation, all those things we will not be considering at this point of time. It is only mathematical tool. It is not, suppose some project is very important and justified on social criteria, that will be dealt separately. But this is the model which will tell us whether a particular project is financially viable or not, whether it can yield some return on the investment or not. So our railway code very clearly mentioned about 4 major models which we employ. There are 2 models are traditional methods or orthodox methods, or we call them as non-discounted cash flow techniques. वो दो मॉडल्स हैं, और जहां पर डिस्काउंटेड कैश फ्लो टेक्निक का मॉडल्स होते हैं वो भी 2 है. नाउ लेट अस नो ईच वन इज नॉन डिस्काउंटेड और ऑर्थोडॉक्स ट्रेडिशनल मेथड्स. एक तो पेबैक पीरियड का एक मॉडल है और अकाउंटिंग रेट ऑफ रिटर्न का मॉडल है. अकाउंटिंग रेट ऑफ रिटर्न और रिटर्न ऑन इन्वेस्टमेंट, और वो आई बोलते हैं. सो दीज आर द 2 मेथड्स which we call them as orthodox methods and non-discount cash flow methods. Why we are calling them as orthodox methods, I'll let you know. Then DCF टेक्निक का 2 मॉडल्स होते हैं. DCF डिस्काउंटेड कैश फ्लो टेक्निक का 2 मॉडल्स होते हैं. वो क्या है? नेट प्रेजेंट वैल्यू मॉडल और इंटरनल रेट ऑफ रिटर्न मॉडल. नेट प्रेजेंट वैल्यू माने NPV मॉडल and internal rate of return IRR method. These 2 methods are there in the discounted cash flow techniques. These are discussed in our finance code also. But again, I am telling that in our railway, any project financial appraisal will be taking up only as under the discounted cash flow technique, and under internal rate of return IRR method, internal rate of return method only we will be employing. But we should know what are the methods that are available, and why we why railway chose only a DCF technique of under internal rate of return. Internal rate of return technique only why we are employing for our railway projects. We will know now. Okay, instead of, even though NPV is there, instead of NPV, even PV is also a discounted cash flow technique only. But we will not take up any project on NPV basis. It is only as per the internal rate of return under DCF technique calculated, that project only will be financially evaluated. So now you understood that it is any project, if you are committing the money and we will be expecting some money to be returned. That is one. And second one is, many projects will be competing for finding a place in the pink book. And one tarika, one important to know which project to be included and which project to be omitted, there should be a criteria. There should be a technique. So the techniques what we employ is, there are 4 techniques: orthodox techniques 2 and discounted cash flow techniques 2. But on railway, we will be employing internal rate of return as per DCF technique. That project evaluation technique only will be employing for the inclusion in the pink book. Okay, now both Jal se Jaldi, I will be telling you about each of the methods. First, orthodox methods, then discounted cash flow methods will go. Now, under orthodox method, first one is payback period. ये payback period में क्या होते हैं? It envisages calculation of time during which investment of the project will be recovered. मान लीजिए एक प्रोजेक्ट में मैंने 100 करोड़ आउटफ्लो लगाया. अगर 100 crore में, in how many, I am not worried about other things. So only my investment 100 crore, in how many years I will be getting back. ये payback period का time है. In this evaluation technique, what I will be looking at is how quickly, how soon I will be getting back my money. जो भी project बहुत जल्द से जल्दी, suppose I decided that within 2 years I should get, और so जो भी project है 2 years में मेरा पैसे मुझे को दे दिए, तो वो project select करते हैं, हमें काम करते हैं. So this is the payback method period. It is very simple to use, and most important point is वो 2 साल के बाद, मगर मैंने लगाया मैनेजमेंट के रूप में 2 साल में मेरा पैसा आना चाहिए. मेरा पैसा आए तो बस है, बाकी का बाद में क्या होता है वो डिस्ट्रॉय होते हैं, नहीं तो वो बहुत बेहतर होके and it will be giving me more and more returns. I will not be bothered. Only thing is how quickly I am getting. Normally this payback period will be utilized in a war-like situations, social unrest, वैसा situations पे normally any investor would see that how quickly he will get back the money. So once he gets back money, he is not bothered about the project. So that is why it will not take into consideration the profitability of the project, and it will not take that time value of the money. So पैसे in future जो भी पैसा आ जाएगा, that also I will not discount them. So जो भी आएगा 100 crores मेरा हिसाब से 2 साल में आया ना, 2 साल में आए तो बस है 100 crores. वो 100 crores भी डिस्काउंट भी नहीं करते हैं. So that is the most important. So this is called payback period. Say for example, one example हमें दे दिया है project with investment of 1000 rupees and वो उसका life cycle है 5 years, generates net gain. Net gain इससे पहले मैंने describe किया, that is earning minus working expenses. So जो भी आते हैं net gain जितना आया है, first year में 100 rupees आए, second year में 200 आए. आसानी से आपने रिमेंबर करने के वास्ते मैंने दिया. सो 1500 जो पूरा देख लीजिएगा. 1500 नेट गेन माने तो हर एक साल का अर्निंग्स माइनस एक्सपेंडिचर जितना है वो वैसा आ रहा है. सो 1500 आएगा. तो मैं क्या देखता हूँ 4 years में दिस प्रोजेक्ट इज गिविंग मी माय इन्वेस्टमेंट। अगर मैनेजमेंट 4 years में हमारा टोटल अमाउंट 100, 200, 300, 400 ये ऐड कीजिएगा 1000 आ जाएगा। सो 1000 आए तो बस है। कितना साल में आ रहा है? 4 साल में आ रहा है। मेरा क्राइटेरिया 4 साल है, ये प्रोजेक्ट एक्सेप्ट करते हैं। अगर मेरा क्राइटेरिया 2 साल है, ये प्रोजेक्ट रिजेक्ट करते हैं। So this is how payback period will be used. One example also I will show. ये प्रोजेक्ट A, प्रोजेक्ट B, प्रोजेक्ट C, ये 3 प्रोजेक्ट्स है। ये 3 प्रोजेक्ट्स मैंने पैसे लगाया 40,000, 40,000, 40,000, तीनों प्रोजेक्ट में 40,000 समझिएगा। और नेट गेन मैं ये इस्तेमाल करता हूँ। ये नेट गेन व्हेनेवर आई से इट इज अर्निंग माइनस एक्सपेंडिचर। हर एक साल का नेट गेन जो भी है 8 साल का जितना आते हैं 8 साल का मैंने लिखा है। एंड देन टोटल नेट गेन हर एक प्रोजेक्ट से जितना आ रहे हैं 75,000, 49,000, 65,000। So here I said the profit will not be looked into. ये पेबैक मेथड में क्या होता है, मेरे पैसे जितना हमारे आउटफ्लो में लगाया, जो पैसे जितना जल्दी आ जाएगा वो प्रोजेक्ट सेलेक्ट हो जाएगा। So with this definition you will understand that the project A is taking 6 years to give me 40,000 and project B is taking 4 years to give me 40,000 and project C it is taking 5 years to give me 40,000. So now you will understand that under payback method, project B gets selected because it is giving my money back within 4 years only. So here I already explained that the profits I will not look at, because if I go by profits, you will understand that project A should be selected. No, I am not interested in that. So this is how the payback period will be selected. Okay. Now, hope you understood payback method, how it will be deployed and in what circumstances should be deployed. You should understand this. Now let us go to accounting rate of return. Accounting rate of return or rate on return on investment. इसमें क्या होते हैं, एवरेज प्रॉफिट जो भी एंटायर लाइफ ऑफ द प्रोजेक्ट में एवरेज प्रॉफिट कितना होता है, हर एक साल प्रॉफिट होते हैं। सो 10 साल 5 साल जितना भी है एवरेज प्रॉफिट कितना होता है, वो प्रॉफिट में डिवाइडेड बाय दैट how much money we have employed on that. So that will give rate of return, rate of return or return on investment. जितना परसेंटेज है, हमें हमारा मैनेजमेंट जितना परसेंटेज फिक्स हो जाएगा, उससे ज्यादा आए तो वो प्रोजेक्ट सेलेक्ट हो जाएगा, नहीं तो नो। So take one small example. Here in this method also, I will not be worried about taking the time value of the money. I will not take into account. ये टाइम वैल्यू ऑफ द मनी क्या होते हैं, आई विल लेट यू नो लेटर. सो नाउ ए प्रोजेक्ट इज देयर, अगेन 1000 रुपीज एंड लाइफ साइकिल इज 5 years एंड नेट गेन हर एक साल का 100 to 100 सेम 1500 आ गया. नाउ यू सी फॉर दिस नेट गेन आई सेड एवरेज प्रॉफिट होना चाहिए. सो टोटल नेट गेन कितना हुआ 1500 एंड नेट गेन इज 1500 by 5, that is 300 per annum आ जाएगा. 300 per annum. Now I should get the rate of return on investment. So 300 rate of return. Investment जितना है 1000 है, 1000. So how much is the percentage? 30%. So 30%. अगर मैनेजमेंट 30% लगाए तो ये प्रोजेक्ट सेलेक्ट हो जाएगा, नहीं तो नो. Now you please see, I am employing the same accounting rate of return method for the previous example. Now you see, say previous example में project A, project B, project C हमें लिए, payback period में project B select हुआ. अभी देखिए net gain कितना हुआ 75,000, 49,000 and 65,000. ये कितना साल का होता, 8 साल का. 8 साल का, हर एक साल का जितना है एवरेज यहाँ पर लगाए, और इन्वेस्टमेंट कितना 40-40-40। तो रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट रेट ऑफ रिटर्न ऑन इन्वेस्टमेंट कितना होगा? सो गेन बाय इन्वेस्टमेंट। सो परसेंटेज लगाए तो 23.44 प्रोजेक्ट ए दे रहे, एंड प्रोजेक्ट बी 15% दे रहे, एंड प्रोजेक्ट सी 20% दे रहे। Now, if the management wants me to go for accounting rate of return, then my priority will change. Now, the project A will get selected because higher rate of return I am getting, so therefore project A will get that. Now, you see, इससे पहले project B payback period में मेरा 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 मन में क्या है? मेरे पैसे आए तो 40,000 आए तो बस है। यहाँ पर क्या हो रहा है? इन्वेस्टमेंट रिटर्न, मेरा इन्वेस्टमेंट के ऊपर रिटर्न जितना कौन सा प्रोजेक्ट ज्यादा देगा, दैट प्रोजेक्ट विल गेट इंक्लूडेड। सपोज मैनेजमेंट डिसाइड्स दैट more than 20% whatever project gives, those projects should be included. Now I will see project A select हो जाएगा, project C select हो जाएगा, project B reject हो जाएगा. So these are the mathematical tools only. Again I am telling, because maybe 15% का कम दिए तो भी ये तो vital project होगा, मगर because these are mathematical models, it will not take into consideration all those things. That should be done by the management itself. They should decide, even though it is come, then we should be taken up. Then that is what we employ in the social benefits. By economic advisor will be employing, and then that project will get selected. So this is accounting. Now these are the orthodox method of doing the things, but here what is happening is जो भी profits आ रहे हैं 8 साल का, 10 साल का, 5 साल का, whatever profits are taken, we are taking them as it is. 10 साल के बाद 75,000 आए तो भी we are taking that 75,000 as it is. But in fact 75,000 which you receive in 10th year, अगर आपने डिस्काउंट करे तो अभी ये साल के रेट से अभी करे तो वो बहुत कम होते हैं। 75,000 which you will be getting after 10 years, it is not 75,000, it will be much less. That is why it is called discounting cash flow. So this discounting cash flow technique में क्या होते हैं हमें देखें. So discounted cash flow technique take into account the time value of the money. ये time value of the money क्या होते हैं? Just like I said, 5 साल के ऊपर, नहीं तो 10 years afterwards, whatever we will get, it is not the same if we receive it today. 75,000 10 साल के बाद आए तो that is not equal to 75,000 now. So in other words, the value of the money gets depreciated over the years, hence the concept of discounted cash flow. आपने सुना होगा compounding interest आपको पता है? अगर आपके पास ज्यादा पैसे है, normally you will give for lending at rate of interest. So that rate of interest you will be calculating 10%, 5%, whatever you like. So you will be compounding them, and then from the person you will be collecting the money. So that compounding interest factor, it will be increasing. So that is called compounding factor. अगर वो inverse करे तो then it is called discounting factor. That means 75,000 which you will be getting at 10 years afterwards, it will not be the same. How much it should be? So you should not compound it. You should discount that 75,000 for 10 years. Say for example, if you want 10%. So at 10%, 10 years afterwards you are getting. Now how much it will be? If you deduct it, then it will be around 60,000 or 50,000. So this is how we should look at the discounted cash flow technique. So here, not only money, whatever I am getting, I am taking into account, but not at the same value. I'll be taking at much discounted, much lesser value. I am equating and then getting the discounted amount only I will be taking. Now, a discounted amount लेने के time पे भी थोड़ा change आ जाए. We should keep in mind that I am talking about the future receipts. Future receipts. जो भी future receipts में आ जाएगा वो तो discount करना चाहिए. Remember this. At the same time, हमारा रेलवे में आप देखे होगा हमारा प्रोजेक्ट्स 2 साल 3 साल 5 साल वैसे चलते हैं. So the project whatever suppose 4 साल लगे हैं. Now we are very speedily we are executing our projects. Suppose 4 साल में if some money we have spent, that is outflow में है because we have spent, it is outflow. So outflow 4 साल पहले करे तो suppose 10,000 rupees you have invested. It is not 10,000. It will be much more. Now it will be much more because so such items you have to compound them. 4 साल पहले जो भी आपने खर्च किया है, that 10,000, it is not 10,000. You have to compound it. So कब कहां पर इक्वेट करना ये दोनों, जो भी एक प्रोजेक्ट कहां पूरा हो जाएगा और कहां से जिस साल से ये पैसे कमाने शुरू करते हैं, that year we call it as 0 year. So that 0 year, there I will be equating the future inflow and earlier outflow. दोनों ये तो earlier का outflow हमें compound करते हैं ये साल तक, और future का inflow है वो discount करके ये 0 year के टाइम पे दोनों बराबर देखते हैं. ये कहाँ जीरो हो रहे हैं वो ट्रायल एंड एरर से देखते हैं. और एक तरीका एक होते हैं जो भी ये हमारे जो खर्च किए वो कम है और जो इनफ्लो है ये 0 ईयर में ज्यादा है, दैट इज कॉल्ड, दीज आर कॉल्ड पीवीस. पीवी माने प्रेजेंट वैल्यूज. ये प्रेजेंट वैल्यूज जो भी कंपाउंड करके पहले पिछले साल में खर्च किए सो कंपाउंड करके और अगले साल में जो भी आ रहे हैं वो डिस्काउंट करके ये 0 ईयर के रूप में प्रेजेंट वैल्यू लाए तो अगर वो पॉजिटिव है, पॉजिटिव माने हमारा अर्निंग्स ज्यादा है और खर्च कम है, देन इट इज कॉल्ड, इट इज gainful. That is called net present value. Now I am taking you to the discounted cash flow first method. It is net present value method. A net present value method में क्या होता है? We'll see that again. I'll let you know. Now what is this discounted factor कैसा आता है? और एक सुझाव और एक एग्जांपल आपको बताना चाहते हैं. अगर 100 rupees if you want at the end of 5 years, 5 साल के बाद आप 100 rupees आपको होना चाहिए, तो at the rate of 10% interest you should invest now 62 rupees. If you invest 62 rupees now at the rate of, suppose you are employing in a particular bank, or if you are giving to a lender and if you are expecting 10% and you are bound to get 100 rupees after 5 years. That means if you want to get 100 rupees after 5 years and gaining 10% interest, you have to invest now 62 rupees. तो ये 62 rupees compound होके आपको 100 rupees हो जाएगा 5 साल के बाद. So what I want to say is that compounding factor को inverse करे तो you will get discounted factors. You may be surprised, sir, ये discounted factors कहाँ पर मिलेगा? ये तो compound factor आपको आसानी से आ जाएगा 10%, 100 rupees 110 rupees होता है, और दूसरे साल में 121 rupees होते हैं. तो ये तो mathematically compounded factor. वो इन्वर्स करे 1 by करे तो ये तो डिस्काउंटेड फैक्टर होते हैं. सो जो भी डिस्काउंटेड फैक्टर 100 रुपीज फर्स्ट साल में आ रहे इट विल बी 90 रुपीज. फर्स्ट साल के बाद 100 रुपीज व्हाट यू इफ यू वांट टू हैव 100 रुपीज नेक्स्ट ईयर एट द रेट ऑफ 10% you should invest 90 rupees. Similarly, for the 100 rupees, if you are want in 2 years, if you want, then you should invest 82 rupees. And after if you want 100 rupees, then 68 rupees you have to invest. And if you want 100 rupees after 5 years, you should invest 62 rupees. But this is assuming that it is 10% return you are getting. So this ये तरीके का 100 rupees which I am going to get later on, I am discounting it at the required rate, and how much I will be getting that. This is called PV, present value. 100 rupees का एक साल के बाद आए तो 90 rupees, 2 साल के बाद आए तो 82 rupees. So 100 rupees if I am getting after 5 years, if I equate it, present value 100 rupees of 5 years afterwards, if I am getting now itself, I will be taking only at the face value, it is 62 rupees only. This we call it as a discounted cash flow. Now so after understanding this discounted cash flow, now as I said, in NPV method, this is the first method after DCF. In the NPV method, what I will be doing is a 0 year I will be taking. As I said, our project always, it will be started earlier, and after 2 years or 3 years, it will be completed. And in that year, it starts earning. So that year in which the project starts earning, we call it as a 0 year. So there, in that year, what earlier we have computed, what we have expended, that it will be compounded, and whatever in future, whatever we are going to get, if I am discounting, then if that is more than whatever discounted present value is more than what I have invested, then it is worth investing. मैंने 10,000 rupees हमें invest किया, and I am getting discounted. After discounting, if I am getting 11,000, then it is gain. So this is how I will be taking up this discounted cash flow NPV method. So project हमें जितना खर्च किए वो रिटर्न, वो प्रोजेक्ट से रिटर्न जो भी आएगा 5 साल, 10 साल, 30 साल, जितना साल है वो साल में हमारे को जितना भी आएगा, that amount I will be, if it is more than the investment, then it is a worth investing. Otherwise, it will be rejected. So this is called NPV method. But only important point here in NPV method, why railway is not using, even though it is a discounted cash flow method, because हमारा प्रोजेक्ट में जो भी हमें खर्च कर रहे, आउटफ्लो कर रहे 3 साल से पहले, 2 साल से पहले, और ये साल में भी जितना हमें खर्च कर रहे हैं वो कंपाउंड कर रहे, 0 ईयर को लाया, और वो प्रोजेक्ट हमारे को 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, whatever it is, we are getting that. I have discounted and then brought to 0 year at the rate fixed by the management. That is most important. At the rate of return fixed by the management. So management हमारे को बोलेगा all the projects you work out at 10% or 15% or 20%. Then accordingly we will be working out, and then whatever project that is more than the cut-off return. अगर 10% है, 10% जो भी ज्यादा है वो सेलेक्ट हो जाएगा. सो 10% के रूप में हमें एनपीवी प्रोजेक्ट का खर्च और प्रोजेक्ट का अर्निंग दोनों को मिला के, अगर अर्निंग दैट इज इनफ्लो ज्यादा है, डिस्काउंटेड करने के बाद इनफ्लो ज्यादा है तो वो सेलेक्ट हो जाएगा. But why we are not employing, even though it is a time value of money I have taken, whatever I have spent earlier, I have compounded, and whatever afterwards I am receiving, all of them I have discounted to 0 year. And my NPV, that is जो भी खर्च किया है, आउटफ्लो है, और जो भी इनफ्लो है, इनफ्लो माइनस आउटफ्लो, इट इज पॉजिटिव माने तो it is beneficial, and that beneficial also it is at the management set rate only it is beneficial. Then I should employ this, but railway will not employ this NPV because it is telling that this particular project is financially viable at the given rate of return by management. It will not tell what is the potential of the project. ये project में ताकत कितना है? It is only 10%, or will it give me 20%, or will it give me 30%? That is not told as per the NPV. So that is why, even though net present value, it will tell only the earlier outflows are much lesser than the inflows of future inflows at the present level. So NPV, that is net present value, it is positive, hence selected. Present value at what rate you are calculating? At the return fixed by management. 10%, 10%, 15%, 15%. मगर ये प्रोजेक्ट में जितना ताकत है वो पता नहीं चलेगा. So for that I will be using IRR method, internal rate of return method, under DCF technique. So I will also discuss this DCF technique, IRR method. Now please see this NPV method. Small example, 1000 rupees हमें एम्प्लॉय किया 5 years में, और net gain. Now I am not using the net gain because this is what I am using is cash flow technique. So that is why I used the word net cash flow. Profit is nahi mante मैं. So net cash flow. Net cash flow माने earning क्या है? So net cash flow 500, 400 ऐसा आ रहा है. So this is 1500. But these 1500 earlier I took 1500 only. But now I cannot take because the time value of money I have to take. So what I will be doing is, because management asked me to arrive at 10%. So discounting factor, already we have seen 90, 82, 75, 68, 62. So same percentage I will apply for the net cash flow. So thereby, if you get that present value, how much it is coming? 1,208 rupees 95. Now, this is present value of the future inflows. Please remember, this is the present value of future inflows. So now 1,250. So that means 1,500, which I will be getting over the years for 5 years. It is not 1,500. It is only 1,208 rupees at the rate of 10%. Now, कितना होता है? It is 1,280 minus 1,000 rupees, which I have employed. It is 208 rupees. 208 rupees 90 paise. It is more. It is positive. Hence, it is selected. So this is how it will be done. And one example also I'll see. Sorry. One example we'll see. So this is management asked me to take up to work out NPV at 15% for project A and project B. So project A is 20,000. Project B also investment is 20,000. But there are different cash flows I am getting. In the project A, I am getting 45,000, and cash flows for the project B, I'm getting 53,000. Now what I will be doing, this is the year, initial year is 20,000 only. So 20,000 I will not distribute, but the discounted cash flow for other future inflows, what net gain is there, I have to employ discounted factor at what rate? 15%. ये पूरे के पूरे फैक्टर्स का टेबल्स है हमारा रेलवे फाइनेंस कोड सेकंड चैप्टर as appendix. There these tables are there. From there you can take. So these tables will, that is 5,500 rupees into 0.870. If you put that after 1 year, it will be only 4,785. So like this, you will be discounting. Now the NPV is 5,923 at 15%. Now project B, if you work out the net NPV, it is 10,873. So which project will get selected? The project which is giving more NPV at same percentage, because it is same percentage, more NPV project B is getting, and project B will be getting selected. But as I said, there is inherent flaw in this method, NPV method, because it is telling only at this percentage project B is yielding more money. That is fine. But how much potential is there? For that, I will be employing internal rate of return method, which is used in our railway project justifications, capital investments. Wherever we do, we will be doing this. So what is this internal rate of return? A rate at which the present value of the cash inflow money, earnings, with the present value of the outflow money, expenditure. इस प्रोजेक्ट के ऊपर हमें जितना भी खर्च किया है, what is the present value now, and whatever inflows are there, future inflows वो 0 year में जितना हो जाएगा, ये दोनों हमें तुलन करते हैं 0 year में. Now this तुलन करना, how it will be done? It is now in this method, nothing will be given, no rate of return will be given. At this rate only you do calculation. No, we should know the potential of the project. So to know the potential of the project, हमें क्या करते हैं? ये ट्रायल एंड एरर मेथड में हमें इंटरनल रेट ऑफ रिटर्न करते हैं. How this trial and error will be done? Because in the NPV, the management has given 15%. So we have calculated. But now here, it is not that. So, but what I am telling is, this also a DCF method only. Here, the important point is rate of return, how much potential is there in the project, I will be working out. I will be working out by way of trial and error method. How I will be doing? You please see this. If any IRR higher than or equal to the required rate of return, that is hurdle rate, we call it as a hurdle rate or cost of capital. हमारे को कैपिटल जितना कास्ट में आ रहे हैं, उससे ज्यादा जितना हमारे को होना चाहिए, that management will tell, and then the project is considered financially viable. All of you aware that as of now, under DCF technique, IRR method, any project to be declared as financially viable, it is 10%. जो भी project 10% के ऊपर IRR method में ज़्यादा आए तो, then we will be clearing them as DCF, under DCF method, it is IRR method, it is financially viable. That's all. with our verbatim comment, it will go to railway board, individual directors, they will see and how much money is available, and whichever project is giving higher rate of return, that they will select it. Because ये बैग में बहुत ज्यादा है ये हमारा वर्क्स प्रोग्राम में, सो कौन सा वर्क को उन लोग सेलेक्ट करना, सो दे गो बाय whichever project is giving higher internal rate of return. कट ऑफ रिटर्न कितना है, हर्डल रेट 10%. अगर एक प्रोजेक्ट 21% दे रहे, 21% गेट सेलेक्टेड, वो प्रायोरिटी हो जाएगा. अगर 30% किसी ने प्रोजेक्ट दे रहे एंड दैट विल बी सेलेक्टेड. So this is how the selection of the projects for inclusion in the pink book will be done by doing this IRR financial justification under DCF technique IRR method. So एक एग्जाम्पल आप ध्यान से सुनिएगा. इसमें ये तो 0 ईयर माने तो ये तो कंप्लीट हो चुके हैं, दैट इज वन आई हैव गिवन. एंड इससे पहले ये साल में 20,000 आई हैव एम्प्लॉयड, एंड इससे पहले 10,000 आई हैव एम्प्लॉयड. सो कंपाउंडिंग फैक्टर बिकॉज आउटफ्लो, दैट इज व्हाई माइनस आई पुट, सो 1.10 at 10%, and another 10,000 I have employed in second year, so that is 1,000, that is 10% second year का compound करे तो 1.21 हो जाएगा. तो उसका प्रेजेंट वैल्यूज कितना है, सो वो प्रेजेंट वैल्यूज हमें ला चुके हैं. -10,000 इन द सेकेंड ईयर, इन द पिछले 2 साल में हमें लगे हैं. अभी प्रेजेंट वैल्यू 12,100 रुपीज हो जाएगा. सो दिस इज हाउ आई विल बी डूइंग. एंड फ्यूचर फ्लोस मैंने क्या किया, इजी होने के कारण 1 to 7 years का 10,000 uniform, normally uniform it will not be there, but in our finance code there will be uniform series बोल के भी tables होते हैं. So that uniform series you see, and 10% it will be cumulative and it will be 4.8.68. So 10,000 एक present value कितना होता, it will be 48,680 rupees होते हैं. So 48,000 and a present value, other present values outflows, if you remove, then the net present value will be 5,580 at the rate of 10%. Now this, how long, because trial and error I told, so 5,000 it has come. Now this NPV again you have to work out, again 5% margin लीजिएगा, and again you will work out. And now this positive NPV, it has turned into negative NPV. Now, by this, you will understand that the under IRR method, the return of which can be yielded by this project, it lies between 10% and 15%. Listen very carefully. This project will yield, because at 10% it is positive NPV is there, and at 15% it is negative NPV is there. Now you will understand that it should be between 10% and 15%. Now as a financial officer, you cannot say that it lies between 10% to 15%. Now you have to work out what is the exact rate of return. So that exact rate of return, it will be worked out by employing interpolation method. इंटरपोलेशन मेथड, ये इंटरपोलेशन मेथड में क्या होते हैं, जस्ट सी, लिसन वेरी केयरफुली. ये कहां पर रीसेंट एनपीवी पॉजिटिव है, दैट परसेंटेज यू टेक 10. सो 10 हियर 5,580 इज एनपीवी पॉजिटिव. सो एट व्हाट रेट, 10%. सो दैट 10 लेस what you have to supposed to do is the NPV of at that particular rate, that is 5,580, divided by the difference of the NPVs where the positive turned into negative. A positive 5,580 turned into negative 3,120 at 15%. So ये वो दोनों का डिफरेंस क्या होते हैं, that the difference of माने तो minus of minus plus हो जाएगा, into what is the difference between the two interests, it is 5%. So 5, if you do it, it will come 0.321. So 10 plus 0.321, it is 10.321%. That means this project is financially viable. In our railway terms, if you want to say this project, it will yield at 10.321% yield will be there. So now you will understand, if it is only positive, that is NPV method, I will suppose at 10% you take, that means this project it will be yielding 5,580, so it is positive, so therefore select it. We know that it is only 10%, a 10% yield, but uska potential kitna hai? It is 10.321%. That is the importance of this internal rate of return method. So having said this, all internal rate of return or DCF technique methods, all methods I have applied. Now let us go to our railway project appraisal. कैसा हो जाएगा ये लूप लाइन में अगर लाइन कैपेसिटी वर्क्स में क्या क्या हमें देखना चाहिए, that we will be seeing that. So a railway project appraisal कैसा होते हैं? One important point is, any proposal if you are receiving, you should get financial justification. Financial justification माने तो एक brief noting आना चाहिए, and that should be scrutinized by our accounts office. Even though where rate of return is not there, that means where financial justification is not required, even then also as a man of ordinary prudence कैसा देखते हैं वैसा ही हमें देखना चाहिए. That is one. Second, net gain and IRR. So no proposal will be included in the pink book unless we get a rate of return under internal rate of return of 10% under DCF technique method on the initial estimated cost. ये साल में हमें एस्टिमेट की एब्स्ट्रैक्ट एस्टिमेट किया, वो कास्ट में 10% IRR मेथड से आ रहे हैं, इसके ज्यादा, so that we can say financially justified. Then, as I already said, depreciation and interest will not be reckoned. Then, this is most important for our 3A examination. What are the points you will look into when line capacity work proposal has come to accounts department? So please 5 minute थोड़ा ध्यान से सुन लीजिएगा. Line capacity works means the capacity of the line is increasing. Capacity means what is the chartered capacity of the line. That means कितना pair of trains जाना है. Suppose 10 के वास्ते वो है, that is maximum capacity. इससे ज्यादा आप trains को भेजना है, then you have to increase the line capacity. So वैसा क्या है? Gauge conversion, doubling, इससे पहले भी मैं बोल चुके हैं, major signaling schemes, lengthening or provisioning of the loops, crossing stations. ये पूरा, अगर क्रॉसिंग स्टेशन है, क्रॉसिंग स्टेशन में कुछ लोग बिल्ड करना है और कुछ लोग मेंटेन करने के वास्ते, वो रिपेयर एंड मेंटेनेंस के वास्ते हमें कुछ लोगों को रिक्रूट करना है, तो दैट आल्सो वी शुड टेक इनटू अकाउंट. ओके, सो कॉस्टिंग 50 lakhs or more, detailed survey should be conducted by commercial department people and accounts department. Without that, no line capacity work should be taken up. That is one important point which we have to write. One more important point is a thorough techno-economical appraisal should be made in respect of each of these sections proposed to take up for change of traction. Normally foot by foot survey करते हैं, डीजल से इलेक्ट्रिफिकेशन जाना है, तो टेक्नो-इकोनॉमिक अप्राइजल इज मस्ट. देन अगर एक लाइन कैपेसिटी वर्क हमें ले रहे हैं, वो लाइन कैपेसिटी वर्क लेने के टाइम पे और पूरे सेक्शन में कहाँ ये चेंजेस भी और एडिशनल वर्क्स करना पड़ता है, तो यू शुड नॉट लीव. अगर एक लाइन कैपेसिटी वर्क आपने प्रपोज किया, it has been received, and you should see that because of this line capacity work, अगर दूसरे जगह पे जो वर्क टेकअप करना है, वो वर्क्स का एक्सपेंडिचर भी हमें कॉस्ट ऑफ प्रोजेक्ट में शामिल करना चाहिए. दैट इज मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट. So, जो भी additional works because of the line capacity work which we are examining, if anywhere it has to be done, then that expenditure also we have to take. Then जो भी एडिशनल ट्रैफिक के ऊपर हमें ये जस्टिफाई कर रहे हैं लाइन कैपेसिटी वर्क, इट शुड बी बियॉन्ड द एग्जिस्टिंग कैपेसिटी ऑफ द सेक्शन. वो सेक्शन डिजाइन करना है, 11 ट्रेन्स के 11 पेयर ऑफ ट्रेन्स को डिजाइन किया है. अगर एडिशनल ट्रैफिक के वास्ते आपने प्रपोज किया, तो देन यू शुड बी मोर देन 11 ट्रेन्स यू शुड कैरी. Suppose even after doing a loop, if you are getting only 11 chartered capacity, then you cannot call it as a financially justified. So that is one important. And one more point is that normally, please listen carefully. Normally, the people will be tempting you to giving that ये वर्क करने के टाइम पे करने के बाद हमारे को डिटेंशन कम हो जाएगा. ये डिटेंशन कम होने के बाद हमारा अर्निंग कैपेसिटी बहुत ज्यादा हो जाएगा. तो दिस इज द अर्निंग व्हिच आई एम गेटिंग. नेवर fall into the trap. Any line capacity work, it should not be justified only on the earning capacity that is going to be increased. They have to tell you that on the basis of utilization of the increased locomotive or wagon. ये वैगन और लोकोमोटिव का कैसा यूटिलाइजेशन ज्यादा हो जाएगा, वैसा जस्टिफाई करना, बट नॉट ऑन द अर्निंग कैपेसिटी ऑफ द स्टॉक सेव्ड. प्लीज लिसन दिस वेरी केयरफुली. एंड वन मोर पॉइंट इज दैट, एंड ए न्यू टाइप ऑफ नॉर्मली हमारा रोलिंग स्टॉक का जो भी प्रपोजल आते हैं, वो एडिशनल कैपेसिटी का सेपरेटली इन द बजट विल बी प्रपोजिंग बेस्ड ऑन द ट्रैफिक प्रोजेक्शन. But so for that financial justification is not required. But what I want to say is, अगर नए टाइप ऑफ का रोलिंग स्टॉक प्रपोज कर रहे हैं to be acquired or to be manufactured, just like our Tejas or Vande Bharat Express, then financial justification should be made on the proposed investment to see that it yields the requisite financial return. Otherwise, no. Then ग्रुप जस्टिफिकेशन, प्रोजेक्ट एज ए होल, जो भी अलग अलग का वर्क होते हैं, वो अलग अलग वर्क, इट कैन नॉट बी जस्टिफाइड. इन दैट केस ग्रुप जस्टिफिकेशन इज परमिटेड. 2-3 तरीके का करके आप ग्रुप जस्टिफिकेशन के रूप में रेलवे प्रोजेक्ट प्रपोजल कर सकते हैं. And saving on a particular railway should not be taken up into account if it is a loss to another railway, because it is not a gain to us. That is how we should see. And expenditure, especially average annual cost of service. हर एक साल इनफ्लो आउटफ्लो होते हैं ना, so expenditure होते हैं. So that expenditure you should take average annual cost of operation, average annual cost of maintenance and repair of the assets. जितना साल है वो एवरेज करके, वो एवरेज एसेट खर्च करने का एवरेज एनुअल कॉस्ट ऑफ सर्विस वी शुड अराइव एट. देन earnings also should be worked out for each of the commodity and lead from its origin up to the termination of the traffic. Not only to a particular section, entire termination you should take the earnings, how much it is going to yield. And one more important point, please listen this carefully, especially station to station rates, or not only that, any project which you want to include in the pink book, whenever small increases in the traffic in the short run, if you want to include, better use marginal costing benefit. That means long-term variable you should use. This long-term variable cost, jitna we should take, it is given in the finance code volume 1 as a percentage. So total cost and that percentage if you adopt, and to that extent our expenditure will come down. Otherwise, if you take full expenditure, that is called fully distributed cost. If you take fully distributed cost, then the project will never come to light. It will never yield the rate of return. It will be negative. So therefore, always use incremental cost wherever any small increase in traffic is there, or over the short run, if you want to justify the project, it is permitted and it is available. Fully distributed cost you will be arriving, and long-term variable cost you will be applying by the percentages given in the finance code. So this is the important point which you will be taking up. And one more point which I would like to add is sensitivity analysis. Normally in railway it is not done, but sometimes as a finance officer, as earlier I told, even though as a percentage in return IRR, everything it is not there, accounts officer should see as a man of ordinary prudence. So this sensitivity analysis is, suppose a particular project is there at 100 rupees, a project is there. In that, what is the vital part? Vital part money, what is the highest cost material that is available? That highest cost of the material, if it is varied, that is, say by 5% it is varied, then what will be the internal rate of return? Again, you can ask the executive to work out. And if by doing that sensitivity analysis, you can write in our financial verbatim comments, you can tell by this is the vital part. And if that rate, it slightly varies from 5% or 10%, the project will turn to red. That also we can make a point. So that railway board will take a call. So that analysis is called sensitivity analysis. How? That means for a particular variable, all other things remain same. For a particular variable, what is the sensitivity? Is it still financially viable or not? So that will be seen here. So this is sensitivity analysis. And one more last point which I want to say, it is post-project appraisal. Project हो चुके हैं, पिक बुक में आया, हमें खर्च किया, and it has been handed over to open line. Now we should learn lessons from that. How much we have estimated originally, how much we are getting, that is called productivity test. So that productivity test, it should be carried out. It is a meaningful way and a realistic way it should be carried out, and whether our estimation which we have done at the project estimate stage, whether it is yielding the same or not. So it will be serving lesson for the future. Having said this, I will be concluding, giving you, even though I told very abstract way, suppose in a project proposal, what are the elements that are available? What are the items to be seen? I told you. What are the elements that will be available in a loop line? Suppose provision of loop line. What are the elements that will be there? Just a cursory glance we will see, and then we will wind up the session. One is finance justification, it is required. Another one is cost of the project, including rolling stock, that is required, whether you purchase it or not. But you should require that rolling stock cost. And then year-wise funding. जितना हर एक साल में जितना फंड्स हो आपको होना चाहिए, in how many months, how many years you want to complete it, that is most important. Then additional earnings जितना ये project yield करते हैं per annum, that is required. And then additional requirement of rolling stock, already I told you. Then cost of the movement of additional traffic, वो traffic ट्रांसपोर्ट करने में आपको एवरेज एनुअल कॉस्ट ऑफ सर्विस जितना आते हैं, क्या इसमें एवरेज एनुअल कॉस्ट ऑफ सर्विस में क्या क्या लेते हैं? लाइन हॉल कॉस्ट, कॉस्ट ऑफ ऑपरेशन एंड मेंटेनेंस, कॉस्ट ऑफ डॉक्यूमेंटेशन एंड टर्मिनल सर्विसेज, ये पूरे हमारा एवरेज एनुअल कॉस्ट में लेते हैं। सो ये तो एनुअल कॉस्ट आ जाएगा और एडिशनल अर्निंग्स आएगा हर एक आनम का, हर एक साल का। नाउ व्हाट इज द नेट अर्निंग, नेट इनफ्लो क्या है? दैट आल्सो यू विल बी गेटिंग एडिशनल अर्निंग्स, इनफ्लो एंड आउटफ्लो इज देयर, प्रोजेक्ट कॉस्ट इंक्लूडिंग रोलिंग स्टॉक और एवरेज एनुअल कॉस्ट दोनों हमें ले चुके हैं। और नेट अर्निंग्स दैट मीन्स नेट इनफ्लो, मोस्टली नेट इनफ्लो ओनली इट विल बी देयर। अगर आउटफ्लो है तो रिजेक्ट कर सकते हैं। इनफ्लो, how much is net earning? So this is how we will be seeing. Not only that, one more inflow will be there. It is the residual value of the asset. What is meant by this residual value of the asset? Normally, because as I said, it is a mathematical tool. For 30 years, if you take the discounted cash flows at the end of the 30 year, financially, that project is null and void. Financially, that project will not be there. All the values will become zero. So at the end of the 30th year, what is the salvage value from that project? That will be again inflow. So inflow means it is not only this is only 30th year you will be getting, and every year net earnings inflow and outflow will be there, average annual cost of service, and one outflow will be there, a project cost including rolling stock. So these are all the things which essentially will be there in any project which will be coming for financial verification. So with this, I conclude my session and I am open for the questions.
Participants, please raise your hand for any queries. Mr. Ajay Singh, please unmute.
नमस्ते सर, फाइनेंशियल एनालिसिस और इकोनॉमिक इवैल्यूएशन क्या है ये डिफरेंस?
A financial evaluation, it will be done at zonal railway level, and that project it will be sent to railway board through our works program. That is called financial evaluation. But as I said, railways being a government organization, it has a responsibility to see that certain weaker sections or the areas which are not progressing well to be progressed. So therefore, as a maybe as a financial angle, from the financial angle, it may not yield the required IRR of 10%. But if the government decides, because railway being a government department, if government decides that that particular project should be taken up, then that will be sent to economic directorate. A railway board में करते हैं. So economic evaluation, there is a separate annexure is there in our finance code also, but don't bother now. But if that project is required to be seen, अगर GDP को ये प्रोजेक्ट हेल्प करेगा, नहीं तो वीकर सेक्शन का ये वीक हेल्प करेगा, नहीं तो बैकवर्ड एरिया का हेल्प करेगा, तो then in that case the economic evaluator, that is economic advisor to railway board, will be there in the railway board. So economic evaluation, it will be done in the railway board. So let us not bother much about that. But what I want to say is that you will be surprised, but in pink book, some projects which are yielding minus return also will be there. So you should not get surprised because it is done on the social benefit analysis. For the upliftment of the backward areas, it is being included. So that we will come to know. So finance angle is a must for all. Financial justification is a must for all the projects which are sent to Railway Board through FWP. But final selection on social considerations, if it is to be done, it will be examined by economic advisor to Railway Board. It is not in the realm of zonal railway. Economic evaluation is not in the realm of zonal railway. It is with Railway Board. Yeah.
Sir, there is a chart message. What is line haul cost?
Yeah, line haul cost already I explained. Line haul cost. Okay. There is a particular performance. Sorry. There are 4 or 5 points which I have written. Where? One sec. So those are all the things which we have to take while calculating the line haul cost. Line haul cost में per 1000 GTKM कितना खर्च होते हैं, and then how much total GTKM हमारे को ये प्रोजेक्ट में हॉल करने के वास्ते जितना GTKM हमें एस्टिमेट कर रहे हैं, then that per 1000 GTKM how much cost is coming and total GTKM multiply करें तो that will be the line haul cost होता है. That means to carry that particular additional traffic, how much expenditure we are going to incur. So that will be the line haul cost. इसके अलावा average annual cost में cost of operation and maintenance, cost of documentation and terminal services, these are also will be taken.
So in financial justification, what is RSP item? Someone is basic.
In financial justification, it is capital investment. Capital investment, as I somewhere I mentioned, as per traffic plan, future traffic में जितना traffic हमें हाल करते हैं, उसके वास्ते जितना locos होना, जितना how many coaches होना, how many wagons होना, that will be justified and processed. That is entirely different. But whenever some additional items which are required to be justified on cost as come condition basis, then in that case we will be taking up that RSP projects with financial justification.
Yeah, next Mr. Ajay Singh, please unmute. Ajay Singh, please unmute.
हेलो सर.
Yes, please.
सर आपने जितनी भी टेक्निक बताया उसमें जो रेट ऑफ रिटर्न है ये अप्रोक्सीमेट, नॉट एक्चुअल नहीं है. तो फ्यूचर प्रोजेक्ट मैंने मतलब अकाउंट फाइनेंस ने वेट किया, उसके बाद कोई फाइनेंस के द्वारा जो रिटर्न एक्चुअल जो है लेस आता है तो उसके लिए क्या किया जाए, उसके लिए मैनेजमेंट क्या करें उसके लिए?
Thank you. Very good question. It is only a lesson. It is only a lesson which the railway learned.
Yes.
क्योंकि हमें फाइनेंशियल इनिशियल में हमें जो भी प्रोजेक्ट हमें एस्टिमेट वेरीफाई करके प्रोजेक्ट एब्स्ट्रैक्ट एस्टिमेट वो वर्क्स प्रोग्राम में शामिल करने के टाइम पे हमें DCF टेक्निक यूज करके इन आवर वर्बैटम कमेंट, PFA का वर्बैटम कमेंट्स में हम लिखते हैं दिस इज फाइनेंशियली वायबल, इट इज यील्डिंग अंडर DCF टेक्निक, अंडर एज पर IRR इट इज यील्डिंग 21%, हम लिखते हैं. बट as you said, it is only on initial cost. अगर actual project execution में that will not be same. We saw in many cases 200%, 300% भी ज़्यादा हो चुके हैं. That is different issue. But yes, बहुत ज़्यादा खर्च किया होगा. Even then, suppose that item if it is selected for post-project appraisal. Post-project appraisal will throw light of the deficiencies in our financial scrutiny, not only in our financial scrutiny, in the project preparation itself. What are the problems? Why so much variation has come? And when actually that project is handed over to open line, how much returns we are getting it? Under productivity test, if you do, then you will know the fault where it lies. Is it in our survey estimates? Is it in our socio-economic survey? Or is it in our techno-economic survey? Or is it in our annual average annual expenditure estimation? Where that fault lies? And we should see that as a learning lesson for railway, and nothing can be done. We knew, I won't tell the project names, but there are umpteen number of projects which were taken up on social considerations, and then they are written, they are giving lesser returns. Not only at estimated stage, some lesser return we may have estimated, but more than that, losses we are incurring. So we cannot abandon them because already it was sunk. That is why our capital investment always it is a very, very carefully it should be done. But once it is sunk, there is no issue. Only thing is how to come out of that. That is why we'll be doing that uneconomical branch lines. So some area, some items will be selected, and then some sections will be weeding out, some will be closing down in consultation with state governments. So many other things we are doing. But as you said, whatever actually, if it is turned, our tables are turned from 21%, if it is coming to 8% or minus 8%, then we can't do anything. So just learn lessons, that's all.
Any more queries? How can do test of remunerativeness? One message from Yadav.
Okay. What Nasir, again repeat.
Sir, how can do test of remunerativeness?
Test of remuneration, yeah, that is project appraisal. Just like in one slide, I clearly told that whatever way details when a project is proposed, how we are doing, similar way, similar information, we should adopt and then work out the test of remunerativeness. That means, again, DCF technique and IRR method we have to employ, and then how much rate of return it is yielding. That means whatever problems, whatever we collected at the time of initially when proposing, same information, now what is available, at what cost it was completed, and what are the earnings which earlier we done, and what are the earnings which we are getting. What is the annual average cost which we have selected, and now what is the average annual cost. Similar parameters we have to apply and then work out test of remunerativeness and then compare it. Yeah.
Any more queries? Yeah, there are no queries.
Thank you, Naisra Garu.
What is the difference between ARR and IRR? Someone message.
Yeah. ARR, accounting rate of return, means how much we are getting. It is orthodox method, first one, and it is the return how much we are getting on the investment. That is average profit we will be taking divided by what is the amount which we have employed. That will give you ARR. Whereas IRR is the method of getting the IRR is trial and error method, and by employing DCF technique, we will be getting that. One is discounted cash flow method technique, And the earlier one, it is a traditional method or orthodox method where time value of the money is not taken into consideration.
So no more queries from the primaries from the participants.
Okay.
That was an exhaustive and informative session, sir. On behalf of the academy, I thank all the participants. I also thank the speaker of the day, Shri K. Damodar Prasad Garu. Thank you, sir. Thank you one and all. Just to remind, tomorrow's session will be on work registers and completion report. Login at 14:45 hours. Session will start at 15 hours. Thank you. Thank you one and all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Sitara, for giving me this opportunity. Thank you,
sir.
participants,
Thank you, sir.
and all the best.
We are really privileged, sir. Thank you.